Now we're going to talk about deleting payments. So there's three different ways that payments can come in. So we're going to look back here at your main screen. So there's payments come in, obviously first they're going to be in web activity, and that's the most straightforward way. Think of when they're in web activity, they're not in your database yet. They're in there in web activity, and that's it. So it's really easy and not much side effects to deleting a payment from web activity. Other than you will want to make sure you let a client know that you've deleted their payment, because as far as they see on their end, when they submit a payment, they're going to get a confirmation number and it's going to go through, and then that payment's going to come into your database as web activity. Now, whatever you do with that payment after, they're not going to be notified about. So if you execute it and it's approved, they will, they'll see it come out of their bank account. But if it's just sitting in web activity and you delete it, then it's going to be gone. So you would have payment in here so that you can see it. Let's see here. These are all recurring payments, but let's see. I don't know if we've got any web. Okay, here's a web payment. So all you got to do with a web payment, say you notice this is a duplicate, or they called you and said I submitted a payment and didn't want to pay. That was a mistake. Can you delete it for me? And you haven't executed it yet. All you have to do is double click on it, and there's a little button down here in the left-hand corner, delete. And that's going to delete the payment out of web activity, and it's gone. And there's really nothing else to do. It never hit their register because you never executed it, and that money will never process. It was never even, their bank will never even know that they submitted that. It was never even attempted to be sent. So that's kind of the easiest, most straightforward way to remove a payment. Now let's say you've already executed it out of web activity, and that web payment is now on their register and in EFT not sent. It's a little different because now you can't just double click and delete it. You've got to actually go to their register to remove that payment from this point. So we will, once this loads here, we're going to pull up the EFT not sent screen. And again, the payments are going to come to this section after they've been executed out of web activity. So if you've executed it out of web activity and it's on the EFT not sent, but you haven't sent it through to the payment processor yet, and somebody calls in and wants to delete it, or it's errored out and you've determined that it's their fault why it's erroring, or that account has been closed, or whatever, they don't want to use that payment method for whatever reason, you want to delete it, you're simply going to go to their register and pull it up from there. Okay, so here's the payments that are not sent. They've been executed in web activity, and now we need to delete one. We would just click on the payment we need to delete and click on go to register. Here we see the payment that the tenant does not want to process. What you're going to do is just double click on it to open it up. That was just asking if we want to make any changes. We don't. So here's the payment. It'll say not sent, so that'll let you know that it's okay to delete because it has not been sent to the payment processor. Then you come down here to the actions button, and you're going to click delete this transaction. Now this is going to remove the transaction off the register, out of the database, and it's gone. It's no longer going to be sent when you execute the EFT not sent. And again, their bank will never have seen it come through. There's no risk of them funds moving from one account to another. You're essentially completely removing this payment from ever being executed. And again, once you do that, you'd want to let them know that that payment is now gone and will not be processed ever. It is now officially out of the database and gone. And then the third way is scheduled payment. So this way is probably the least straightforward of them all, and probably the most common we get. So if you get someone that set up a scheduled payment and they have already submitted a payment and you've already executed it twice, so you've sent it through that EFT payment not sent and it's already gone through, but they've got a scheduled payment sitting here that they must, forgot they set up, or for whatever reason, it's still sitting there and they've already submitted a payment and you need to delete a scheduled payment. It's not as straightforward. So you'll pull it up so you can see exactly which lease the scheduled payment is coming from. And then you'll look at that lease and you'll have to go to their settings for the scheduled payment and actually change the scheduled payment to the next month. So you're actually never really deleting a scheduled payment because it is a monthly recurring payment. All you really do to quote unquote delete a scheduled payment is move the scheduled payment to only pull the following month. So let's look at one, for example. We'll go to their register. And it's not going to be on their register yet, so that kind of confuses people. They'll see the scheduled payment, and then they'll want to delete it, but they'll come to the register, and it's not there. So you want to go to the lease notebook and pull up the Residents and Contacts tab. And this is where you'll see a running list of all the residents. So, and which ones have a setup EFT. And you can see the details over here on the right. So if you've got multiple tenants with scheduled payments in the same unit, all of their details, you would see the setup EFT details for each one. For this instance, there's only one person with a setup EFT, so you know this is the payment that is in question and needs to be deleted. So to delete a scheduled payment, you simply just click on the setup EFT button, and this is going to bring you to their scheduled payment screen. So this screen is very similar to the payment details from their register. This is going to show all the payment information that they've input for their scheduled payment. And this is straight from their register, their portal. So when they set it up on their portal, this is what they plugged in all this information. So you now have full access to edit anything from their recurring schedule. So in addition to deleting payments, you are also able to turn off a scheduled payment by checking this box. You could come in and set one up for someone here, change the amount, change the day, anything like that. They have the power to make those changes on their end, but if you ever do need to they want you to make the changes, this setup EFT button here on the lease notebook is a good place to remember to find. So here I'll show you, as you can see, and this is helpful because it'll show you the last draft. So in a situation where it's double payment, your last draft is probably going to be the month before, and next draft is probably going to be the one that you're seeing that you need to delete. So for instance, let's say today is October 21st and 19th or whatever, and this is supposed to draft today, so it's sitting in your auto post, but they don't want it to draft. All you have to do is just click on this calendar and change the next draft, just go a month out. And then if you change it to November to 19th, click OK. Now this is telling the scheduled payment, I don't want you to draft next on November. We're good to go up until November. And then when you click OK, that's going to, now that scheduled payment is going to disappear out of your auto post activity, and it's essentially deleted in that now it's waiting for November. So now it doesn't remove their scheduled payment. It just pushes out their next scheduled payment to now draw as they wanted next month and not this month. So you can always come in and finagle those dates to affect it. So there's, again, the only way to truly delete an entire scheduled payment would be to uncheck this box. That's going to mean there's no more scheduled payments. The drafts are no longer going to come through. And then, like we mentioned, deleting one on a month that's already come in, you just push the month back a date. And then by the same token, if they wanted to send it through again, you could come in, change this date back to a day that was in the current date, and it would show back up. So that gives you some flexibility to use and know how to interact with those scheduled payments.